In this tutorial, we're searching for specific frames within a video or within a dataset. We're interested in finding frames that contain or do not contain various annotations, predictions, or QA approvals. We'll use a video in our examples, but the same methods apply to datasets. We'll select a particular video by name. Let's select the grid view rather than the play view. This shows us the thumbnails of the first frames of the video. Under Annotations, click on the text of the button labeled Person. Now we see only those frames that have an annotation with the label Person. We can click on the annotation label to deselect it and see all frames. And we can click again to toggle it back on. If you click on a second label, you'll see additional frames containing that label along with the original set. For example, click on Car. As you can see from the search bar, the logical connective is OR. Conservator shows a frame if it contains either a person or a car or both. For example, this frame contains only cars. Click on the browser's Back button to return to the grid view, with the existing search criteria still in effect. To search for frames that contain both a person and a car, we can edit the search command to use AND rather than OR. Examining frames, we see that indeed both a person and a car appear as annotation labels. To clear the search criteria and return to the grid view, click on the video's name in the breadcrumbs. We can search for machine predictions in much the same way as for human annotations. Expand the Predictions header in the right-hand side Actions panel. Click on Person. Notice that the first frame with a person is frame 224, although our human annotator discovered a person in frames before that. Also, the dotted line box indicating the machine prediction is slightly different from the solid line box indicating the human annotation. As you work through a video or data set, it's useful to find frames that have not been annotated. To find these frames, click on Unannotated Frames in the left panel, the so-called menu panel. Here's a frame that has no annotations. Notice that there is a truncated object on the left edge of the frame. It might be a person, but this is a judgment call. Once that decision is made, this frame can either be annotated or, since there are no other annotations, marked empty. Let's mark it as empty. Incidentally, had we chosen to make an annotation, the Mark as Empty action would not be available. It's important to distinguish empty frames from unannotated frames. Unannotated frames need attention. They might contain an object that should be labeled. On the other hand, empty frames have been inspected and found to have no such objects. As we return to the grid view, we see that the count of unannotated frames in the menu panel has dropped to 0. Continuing through the other menu items, we see that we can select one or more of the following categories: empty frames, annotated frames, flagged frames. Any frame can be marked with a flag, a generalized way of saying that it is interesting for some reason. The QA buttons indicate either a change request, in which case the frame's thumbnail has a thumbs down, approval, shown by a thumbs up icon, or pending, no icon. The QA markings are applied to individual frames by selecting the frame and clicking on the appropriate QA button in the right-hand action panel.